What up? Okay, LeBron James, the Los Angeles Lakers, we all understand he's going to be out around 3 to 5 weeks in that area. Probably we're looking around a month. We do have Anthony Davis who's going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks. So we pretty much have around 3 to 4 weeks of no LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if you're the LA Lakers as of right now, you're someone looking at a panic mode situation. The NBA trade deadline will pretty much cease to exist on Thursday. So we have 24 hours left, the NBA trade deadline, to where we can see possible moves. There has been interest for the LA Lakers of pretty much going for Kyle Lowry, other suitors as well for a big man, and potentially an Andre Drummond buyout. But in this situation, KCP is on the trading block. Same thing when it comes down to Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol. The LA Lakers are trying to reposition their team to pretty much elevate LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the new current roster entering into the playoffs. And since you do have a month without Anthony Davis and LeBron James for the most part, you're going to need an automatic score out there and another big to pretty much win at least 500 of the games to where they can pretty much just get into the playoffs. The LA Lakers last season in the bubble, there was no quote-unquote home court and they still won the championship. For the LA Lakers, if you can pretty much stay at least worst-case scenario around the fifth seed, you should be go to good with. I mean, if you're playing the Utah Jazz in the second round, that's still a pretty not a simple series, but it's a good enough series for you to beat that team in at least 5 to 6 games. I'll probably say more 6 games as of right now. I fully still expect the LA Lakers to represent the Western Conference. Right now is more of a hiccup stage. In the NBA, they're all settled for a Los Angeles Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets NBA Finals. This is pretty much what's been in the making since that James Harden trade. And then, of course, we do have Blake Griffin entering the Brooklyn Nets. There is also rumors of J.J. Redick potentially being bought out, and the Brooklyn Nets is his preferred destination. And again, you still have Boogie Cousins. You're most likely going to have JaVale McGee, Hassan Whiteside, Andre Drummond. I'm probably thinking of another big or two out there as well that could potentially be traded or bought out. So these players are going to join either the Lakers number one or the Brooklyn Nets. If you're LeBron James, who's going to be out for a month or so, he's pretty much out of the MVP discussion. So we'll cover a little more into that. Who could potentially take it? I mean, if Joel Embiid is going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks, he should still be fine enough to where he can still win the MVP. But if he's out for an extended period of time, we're talking at least 4 weeks or so, James Harden, Damian Lillard, and Nikola Jokic will be the front runners to take on that candidate prize, if so. But we're gonna jump into here on Undisputed, go a little more deeper into the LA Lakers, LeBron James's title chances, and the injury, how it impacts the LA Lakers.
Was this play clean or dirty?
I don't think it was a dirty play. I think he made a legitimate attempt to get the ball, and it was just unfortunate that his momentum as he was diving for the ball took him into LeBron's ankle, kind of as LeBron's momentum took him toward Solomon Hill. So it was just an unfortunate play, in my opinion. I saw that Montrezl Harrell, the Lakers player, said that it was not a basketball play, but I say it's a loose ball. So what, in a loose ball situation, what's a basketball play? Like loose balls, we see guys dive for balls. We see guys reach for balls, jump for balls, whatever. If LeBron was bringing the ball up court, or if he was in triple threat position with the ball, or even just had control of the ball, and Solomon Hill dove for it, then I think it was a dirty play. But that ball was loose, and he dove for it like a lot of players do, and it was just an unfortunate situation. It's interesting, too. Even Montrez said he doesn't think Solomon intended to hurt LeBron. I don't know. Maybe he was.
You're going to have some cats who say the NBA is scripted and rigged and, gematria, yada, yada with that, and there's fake injuries. I agree with some of the most part. I'm not going to go too in-depth on this part, but whenever LeBron James did get up, he seemed pretty fine getting back in the game, hitting a three-pointer, and he was all good with that. But then, of course, now he's in the boot. It's a give or take on that some players, quote-unquote, fake injuries for a storyline. I'm not going to go too in-depth with that. I'm still confident the LA Lakers winning the 2021 NBA championship against the Brooklyn Nets. that narrative to elevate LeBron James to the GOAT status. And right before premiere of Space Jam 2, what's the correspondence? LeBron James going against the quote-unquote Brooklyn Monstars. I mean, I just can't see any other way to where LeBron James is going to be out in the first round, potentially miss the playoffs or losing the finals. And then you have Space Jam 2 coming out. This is the glorified years for LeBron James. And even though he had this injury with Anthony Davis, you got to remember, beginning of the season, a lot of cats had the LA Lakers as favorites to win the championship. A lot of cats did. And the Lakers play the best whenever they are the quote-unquote underdogs around the second or third option. And this is elevated. Everyone has their eye on the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets to win the championship or come out of the East. In the Western Conference, it's all over the place with the Jazz, the Clippers, potentially the Lakers. This is what people are saying as of right now. This is what they're trending and aiming towards to. The LA Lakers will be in a good situation when they get LeBron James and Anthony Davis back. I do fully expect internally the roster to change. I don't expect in a big way. I expect around 2 to 3 pieces to move around. I do fully expect either Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, or Boogie Cousins to join the LA Lakers. Now, if they can get back JaVale McGee, that will be a huge plus. They're going to get around 1 or 2 big men since they will be bought out. And potentially we could see a trade. We could potentially see a Dennis Schroeder trade. Potentially maybe with KCP or Wesley Matthews for, a pretty good underrated piece along that team. The Lakers should be fine in that scenario. I'm expecting within that.
Talking earlier out of emotion and being upset that LeBron was hurt. And then he thought about it a little later and said, look, I don't think he intended to hurt him. But other than Montrez, other than Lakers fans, I haven't seen anybody say it was a dirty play. LeBron hasn't come out and said he thought it was a dirty play, and no other players around the league did. And we know how much respect LeBron has around the league. I think if players really thought, oh, that was wrong, then they would speak out. At least some of them would speak out and say it was a dirty play.
For me, I don't think it was a dirty play. I just think it's unnecessary. 1 minute into the second quarter, you diving on the floor for a loose ball. That's and I just don't get that. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, because under that scenario, if somebody's going up for a dunk, I can go up and say, I'm just trying to make a play on the ball. But normally there's a rule, like, skip.
Baloney, there's not. Solomon Hill is playing almost 20 minutes a game, ever closely observed, and he's been amazing because he's been in precarious situations before, and if he ever gets the ankle turned, he just jumps right up and walks it off, and I'm like, man, how does he did it in the finals.
Tighten the shoelaces.
Yeah, didn't he do it against Miami? Yeah. He just jumped up, and I said, that's incredible to me.
But you said something, Chris. What Skip said is that he got in there and he thought about it, and we hear this video and the music comes on. It's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, no.
LeBron James, this is his second biggest quote-unquote injury in his career. And it's crazy with LeBron James, who's never had that injury pass. I mean, listen, LeBron James has been on PEDs. We all understand and know this about him. Besides from that, the last 2 seasons or so, LeBron James has had the biggest amount of injuries. The first one, of course, was in 2019, where he missed around 3 to 4 weeks. That's when the LA Lakers dropped from a 4 seed with I forgot what the record was, but they were a 4 seed and they dropped down around 9th or 10th. This is now a scenario to where we're looking at around 3 to 5 weeks with LeBron James in this situation. Father time is creeping up LeBron James, either if it is quote-unquote fake or not, but this is creeping on LeBron. I'm not too worried about it. LeBron does have another 2 to 3 seasons before he hangs it up and retires. Listen, LeBron James can pull the Tom Brady card, and he can play till he's around 43 in that range, being a point guard. But LeBron James wants to be the quote-unquote best player in the world. When we're talking about the All-Star team captains, he wants to be the number 1 guy, and he wants to be in that championship picture. If LeBron's in a situation to where he's a second, third option, and they're getting bounced in the playoffs, they're not true contenders, he's not going to run with that. That's why when LeBron James, I fully expect most likely in 2023 or 2022 after that season, LeBron James to retire. 3 things. Number 1, he has to pass Kareem in all-time leading scoring over 38K, which he's on rate to do pretty much in 2022 or 2023. So he's in good range. Number 2, to play 1 season with his son. And that's pretty much the 2023 NBA season if we're looking at it. And then lastly, to reach 6 NBA championships. So LeBron James has 2 to 3 seasons to where he can complete all 3 of those tasks. He's on a good trend to do all 3. I fully expect on my end, Again, the NBA is an entertainment league. There's some things in the background that they want to happen, they push. I'm not saying things are quote unquote scripted, but I fully expect them to elevate LeBron James to be the GOAT. He'll finish off with 6 NBA championships. LeBron James will not lose another championship ever again. He will finish with 6 losses and 6 wins. Besides from that, he will pass Kareem all-time in scoring. If LeBron James has 6 finals losses and he's going against the GOAT argument against Michael Jordan, MJ never lost the finals. LeBron has 6 L's. So how else are they going to elevate LeBron James? They'll use longevity. They'll use stats, him being number 1 all time, him winning quote-unquote more quality championships, harder championships, quote-unquote, him winning with 3 different franchises, yada, yada in that range. In my position, I have LeBron James number 4 all-time on my list. He was number 5 for me, but he did win the 2020 NBA championship. So that did pass over Larry Bird on my end because him and Larry were stuck at 3 championships. And I did have LeBron James over Larry Bird in that situation, but with LeBron winning the 2020 chip, I did leapfrog him over Magic Johnson. LeBron James and Michael Jordan, the only players in NBA history with 4 or more Finals MVPs. That's a huge accomplishment and an accolade to consider. Now, Bill Russell, they did not do the Finals MVPs back in the day, and Bill Russell pretty much would have won the majority of those. I have right now MJ number 1 all time, number 2 Bill Russell, number 3 Kareem, number 4 LeBron James, which has the NBA Mount Rushmore, then at number 5 Magic, and so on and so forth. If and when LeBron James wins the 2021 NBA championship and with the Finals MVP, I'm going to leapfrog LeBron James over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I'll leapfrog him over Bill Russell. I'll do it. I'll give it to him. And that pretty much we're looking at LeBron with 5 chips. I'll have MJ at number 1, LeBron at number 2. A lot of cats have LeBron either the GOAT right now or he's number 2. LeBron James has never been the second greatest player of all time for the past seasons or so. LeBron, listen, people get in their emotions. You got to take things logistically and with standards, with principles. LeBron has 4 championships. Now, I'm not gonna discredit, with the 6 finals losses. If you're talking about the GOAT argument, then that's something you bring up. For right now, LeBron James has 4 finals MVPs. He's led the championship teams 4 different times. Yes, him and MJ are the only ones with those finals MVPs out there. But Bill Russell did dominate in his era against Oscar Robertson, or my bad, with Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West with those LA Lakers. Bill Russell's won 11. He's lost 1. And he was a huge impact when he joined the Boston Celtics, dominating. And when he left the Celtics, you saw the impact go away. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6 championships. 3 finals MVPs on his end. He's got 6 regular season MVPs. You got to give that to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. LeBron James is knocking right on Bill Russell's and Kareem's door. So when LeBron James wins his 5th championship, I'm going to put him number 2 all time. And when I fully expect LeBron to win his 6th, I'm going to have Michael Jordan still at number 1. They'll be tied, but I'll see what other accolades LeBron can catch up. If he gets 38K or more, if he can get a couple more regular season MVPs, how he wins these championships, if he beats the quote-unquote Brooklyn Monsters, so on and so forth.
Real life, but he's too late, Skip. He already done started. He's already started that chain of events. Skip at the second quarter.
But he did not allow himself to fall all the way through LeBron's planted right foot.
One more step. If he took another step, that'd have been it.
Here's the thing, Shannon.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Here's the thing, Shannon. Nate McMillan, as we know, they fired Lori Pierce. Nate McMillan's taken over. They're 8-0.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it by hustling, by playing defense.
Wow. I haven't looked too much into the Hawks, but that's impressive when they let go of Lloyd Pierce and they brought Nate McMillan, and they were 8-0. Nate McMillan, I believe he was the coach of the year with the Indiana Pacers, and they lost in the first round or so. Don't quote me on that. I believe so, but Nate McMillan is underrated as can be. And the Atlanta Hawks are sitting at a 22-22 record, number 7th in the Eastern Conference, after having a horrendous last 2 to 3 weeks with Lloyd Pierce. So I've always stated they needed to get Lloyd Pierce out of there. They need a more formidable and legitimate coach. That's what they've been doing, so kudos to them.
Been really strong at the end of games, but they've been playing defense throughout the game. So this is kind of that new style of play where we're playing 48 minutes all out. And I think that, and I respect it. Look, I'm with Skip. I think he was just playing hard. And I was on with Brandon Marshall this morning on First Things First. He said if that's another player, that's your average player, like meaning in LeBron's place, it might be a torn ACL or MCL.
Maybe.
But LeBron, to Skip's point, is so durable and strong that it just turned out to be an ankle sprain, thankfully.
Well, if it was anybody else, we wouldn't even be talking about it.
No. Well, that's true. Now,
You are looking at much needed rest for Anthony Davis and LeBron James with this month off before the playoffs. So this is actually, a good thing on that end. But the Lakers will be dropping in the NBA standings unless they can somehow pull off possible trade or buyout with DeMar DeRozan or some other impactful player.
back to my point about LeBron being the most durable ever. He writhed. Kuzma said, I'd never heard him scream like that before. Right. Okay, give you that. But then he got up and he began to put weight on it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there he is.
Want to know how to fly to Costa Rica for just $206 round trip? Or Peru for $282?
And he did it again. And then they actually played an offensive possession, and he goes to the corner and nails a three to give it.
I say about LeBron James easily getting back up, playing in the game. I'm not saying it's fake or not, but you got to use your three-dimensional mind and what you've seen in the back end. Don't get caught up in the programming, but that's another subject. I'll let you guys deal with that.
10 points, double-digit points for the 1,024th or something.
I think 36.
Is it? Okay, I thought it was 24th. I just looked.
But we way up there. I mean,
okay,
we
but it's like it's that was a stunning shot to make because it kept your streak alive.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he actually looked like he was running back up court to play defense and rethought about it and said, I just can't do this. Mm-hmm. And then under his own power, he didn't need help. He didn't get carried off. He walked off, knocked the chair over, not because he was mad at Solomon Hill. No. He was mad at the situation. This might cost him the MVP that he could win in year 18, which would be unprecedented. And this could cost him a bunch of games toward catching Kareem's all-time point score. Yeah. Okay, so the point is, Chris, back to you. To me, they're saying 3 to 4 weeks, and knowing LeBron, I'd be surprised if it was more than 1 week. It just seems like I don't know why he couldn't bounce back fairly quickly from this.
Well, I hear you. Look, we've seen LeBron. We haven't heard him scream like Kyle Kuzma said. But, every time LeBron gets hit, he falls like it's, a serious injury.
Yeah, he does.
So when he got up and, like you said, he was able to keep playing, at least momentarily, I thought, okay, he's good. And even the way he walked back to, you guys are sprained ankles. He walked back. That's not how you usually walk when you really have a sprained ankle. And so I was thinking, okay, he won't be back for tonight's game or today's game, but he's going to be fine. And now, 3 or 4 weeks, Skip, they're saying is optimistic.
What?
There are other estimates that it could be 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
And so I would be shocked if he comes back in a week or two. And I think also the Lakers have to maybe protect LeBron.
Stands for the night.
How did you do it? Do you remember?
The same way that I got tackled. It started in 93. They
could even end up in the play-in.
Okay, now we're talking.
But still, Shane, look, it's going to be a tough road in the West no matter what. What if Dallas is your 8th seed and you play Dallas in the first round or Golden State?
It don't matter.
Or Portland. My point is, no matter where you finish, you're going to have 3 tough series in the West.
Look here.
The
way we were playing, Chris.
They might end up with the Clippers in the first round.
Chris.
Listen. The LA Lakers are not going to be. They're not going to be like a 7th, 8th seed, 9th or 10th in that play-in tournament. That's not going to happen. The LA Lakers will finish around. They're going to pretty much finish around a 3rd through a 6th seed, if anything. Anthony Davis can come back a little early. Same thing with LeBron James. I'm pretty much going to state that they'll both be out for another month or so. And I fully expect the LA Lakers to make some roster moves and some buyouts, so where they'll put up some other players within their franchise. They are sitting at a 4 seed in the Western Conference with a 28-16 record. Now, if LA with Anthony Davis and LeBron are out for around that month, you are looking around 15 games. And the both games to where LeBron was out, they've lost 2 in a row to the New Orleans Pelicans and the Phoenix Suns. It's not a good look, but they may probably have a trade for Montrezl Harrell, Marcus Gasol, KCP, Dennis Schroeder, and a potential Kyle Lowry trade as well. I'm not going to be shocked if the LA Lakers make some type of big trade. Do I expect a big trade to go down? No. I expect the Lakers to pick up more key players whenever they're bought out and they become free agents. The Lakers are around a game and a half from the second seed. But if you're looking at the teams right behind the Lakers, you're looking at the Nuggets, the Blazers, potentially the Dallas Mavericks. At the 8 seed right now is the San Antonio Spurs. LaMarcus Aldridge has not been playing. They fully expect to trade or buy him out. And DeMar DeRozan, same process. So the San Antonio Spurs, like I told you, Cats, they're not going to make the playoffs. They were a nice little story, but they should have rebuilt at the beginning of the season. The Spurs would be bounced. I fully expect the Golden State Warriors to hop in that playoff picture, and they should be set. The Lakers, I fully expect LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They'll come back the last 2 to 3 weeks in the season, and they'll rack up. They're probably going to rack up, to be honest, around a 4 seed, something along those lines. I don't believe the media and stuff to where, they're saying the Lakers could potentially miss the playoffs or be 7th, 8th. That's not happening.
We healthy. If we were healthy, I'm talking about healthy, Bron healthy, AD healthy, nothing matter. You skip with all over here gung-ho talking about the Nets got Blake Griffin. The Nets could have had Blake Griffin, Stewie Griffin, Kathy Griffin. We was taking them out in
Duncan
6.
again.
Just stop it. But your day coming. I know you over there, you like, oh, he pretend like he's so disappointed, LeBron. But don't you worry about it.
You realize Stewie Griffin has nuclear weapons.
Don't worry about it. We got some for all the Griffin. Blake too.
Yeah.
But we had something for you.
I never said anything about Blake Griffin.
Don't worry about it. No, you
I
don't
just need the big
That's
3.
looking good, Shannon. Admit it.
No, they look good. They
That's
look
looking good.
They look great. I mean, you got 3 of the best. You got 3 of the top 10, top 15 players on one team. I mean, come on, Chris.
You both better beware of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh,
Hey,
boy.
Chris.
Clippers.
Chris.
The Clippers have been one of the most underrated teams in the West.